No mai hara mai e te whānau. Welcome to Bright Hearing News on a
Kia ora,
Friday.
fam.
Joined with my favourite, Mr. Detective Rogers. We're going for
Magenta is biased.
Right? We're going for a very proud Pride Month. It's
Happy Pride,
our
everyone.
month, right? So yeah, kia ora everyone. Hope you've been having a good week so far. How's your week been, Rogers?
It has been busy. I've been training new people at work, so it's just been, non-stop.
Oh, nice. Oh, hopefully everyone's been having a good week. It's been pretty full on, honestly. I feel like this week has just been absolutely thing after thing after thing. So it's been a bit overwhelming, to be honest. Which is why actually I thought to start the weekend off, I guess. We will have a look at something that I was just sent only mere minutes before the show went live. It is a meme, but it is a meme about our favorite friend of the show, Sam Cedar. So obviously we had to include this. So I'm just going to find where I put it, add that in. And yeah, let's start the week with this beautiful meme about
Rigged.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. And if no one's seen Ip Man, it's a great film. Best film I've ever seen about
Right?
a fictional, the fictional true story that is the man that trained Bruce Lee and apparently beat Japan somehow single-handedly.
Ip Man is one of my favorite. Actually, it really is my favorite martial arts series. To be fair,
It's pretty good.
So fucking good. Oh, I thought that was just it. I feel riled up now. I feel like ready to go. You know what I mean? I feel like they just gave me a bit of energy for tonight's show. Especially since tonight it's not exactly the most fun night in terms of news, as we've all probably noticed in the description today. So we're going to start off by talking about bridges. A very exciting topic, but
we love building them.
Right? What do we?
We do.
This is true. Yeah, so as many of you have probably seen, the Auckland Harbour Bridge is they're looking at appealing for international investors. I'll just pop it on the screen here. Yeah, so there was no videos of this before while I was getting ready for tonight's show, but quite interesting. I was reading through this, and I think there was one kind of quote that stood out to me. Where is it? It's he says all roads of national significance are being assessed for tolling, which already not great.
Yeah, sorry, you just lost me and the headphones just dropped off for a second.
No worries. Yeah, so all roads of national significance are being assessed for tolling. The concessions would mean the private company collects the revenue from a toll to offset its cost, while giving the government an upfront capital payment, which already I'm like, so they're basically borrowing more money, but on like being like, no. So like, you give me this and then you can have that later, which I'm already not happy about and quite concerned.
I can tell you, as someone who's stopped driving constantly, like every day, I've never been more zen than not driving. And this type of shit happening is just making me more happy the less I drive, I think. So
that's fair, honestly. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, I'm just kind of concerned in terms of like they're kind of, they also talked about private, investors, but they're not being very clear on who these investors are. I'm also wondering why they haven't considered, I don't know, maybe giving iwis and hapus who actually have quite a lot of capital and a lot of their investments, I don't know, maybe first pick before we go and just let everyone else have a go first. And I mean, I can see some comments in here like it's a cash grab, and that is exactly it. Is that they just seem to be so willing and ready to just sell off anything, give away. Like they say they're retaining the they're retaining the road, so it's just the tolling. But I mean, how much money is that going to end up making that business in the long run? I'm sure it's going to be a lot more than the money that they're basically ticking to the government right now.
Yeah. And God, I wish I still had the stats from the other week when we were going to do the energy stuff. I actually had a bunch of information on basically the degradation in the public sector in energy since then. I don't think I have that information on me anymore, actually.
You were saying, though, something about the origins of the Auckland Harbour Bridge.
I did some looking into this, yeah. So,
that
was... Well, it actually goes to about almost 100 years ago. It's 1926. We get the Auckland Harbour Bridge Association was established, not to be confused with the Auckland Harbour Bridge Authority, which would be created later. This led to a royal commission the commission actually concluded that the bridge was unnecessary at the time, given the efficiency of the existing ferry services.
Oh, no, not the ferries.
If only we had efficient ferries today. I think back to the day. But that led to, apparently in 1946, they did another royal commission, which indeed, this time they concluded they did need the bridge. They proposed making either a 4 or 5 lane bridge with footpaths. I'm not sure, there's conflicting information there. And they did a further model, which predicted they needed, that North Shore was going to explode, and that they needed 6 lanes for future-proofing. And it was going to be about £8 million at the time. And let's see what happened next. Oh, yeah. So the first national government led by Sidney Holland opted for an austerity design, 4-lane bridge without footpaths, kept the budget at £5 million, which wound up blowing out to almost $8 billion anyway.
What a surprise.
Which goes to about 250 million in modern day New Zealand dollars. And that first bridge was predicted to be about 1.5 million. So that would have been a steal. Going on to only about a decade later, they realized that they needed to add on more lanes, and they ordered them out to Japan. They outsourced them to Japan. They became named the Nippon Clip-ons. Nippon being the name of Japan.
Yes, of course.
If no one knows. I actually hadn't heard that term, so that's the first time I actually heard about it. Yeah. But they actually concluded that those additional clip-ons that they need to add the expansion alone wound up being more than the original bridge would have been in the first place. And that cost a modern equivalent about 450 million at the time.
So just wait a minute. So basically what you're saying is that the current national government basically just stole their great-great-great-grandfather's homework with our ferries. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I love that that's all you took from it.
Hey, there's a lot
Let's
to
focus
take
on
from
the
it,
ferries.
Okay? There's a lot to complain about.
Also, many people did criticize the lack of railway, and that wasn't even the original recommendation, too. So even back then, people were complaining about rail. We just, rail can't win.
It is kind of annoying how we just seem to be redoing the same thing. I mean, like, even some of the people in the comments were mentioning, the austerity, we're seeing it just replay again. So I was saying, it just feels like they're stealing Grandpappy's homework. The problem was that Grandpappy wasn't very nice. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just also frustrated because, I mean, again, with the austerity, the things that they're giving away. Also, there's been quite a few people mentioning that, like, out of all the places in Auckland, is this really the place that we need to focus on in terms of maybe adding roads? Because from what I can see, it sounds like a lot of people are saying that, yeah, West and South Auckland need more lanes to get to the city and to South. Like, it's strange then why they're going for the bridge. Like, I don't understand why. Like, it just seems like a weird thing to even go for, given the needs of the area.
I'm gonna guess it probably has some kind of strategic advantage for them. Maybe there's a business across that way that they're trying to placate towards. I don't know.
I mean,
that's just a speculation, though.
yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to kind of keep following this since there isn't a hell of a lot of information out yet, and I believe that the infrastructure meeting, whatever it's called, is still happening, or is that just finished?
I believe it concluded today, and that's Luxon gave a bit of a press conference about it.
Yes,
he's very happy, I think.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure he's happy that there's something kind of good maybe in the news for him.
Yeah, it's like good news, because I think there was more bad lunch news today. There was something about like frozen stuff. Like, I think someone got frozen food. One of the schools.
No. I did see a photo on Blue Sky. Some schools got sent basically some like bakery scroll thing and like a little packet of Shrewsbury's.
That might have been it, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's what I saw on Blue Sky, and I just thought, oh, Jesus Christ. I also saw that another one of the food companies, Pukuora, they're shutting down, I believe. They're the second business to bite the dust, and it's... I swear to God, this food thing is just killing me. I just don't... We shouldn't be arguing over this. It shouldn't be a question. It's doing my fucking head in, if I'm completely honest.
It's just, it's just the fact that we're still going non-stop reports, and we still can't just accept, like, it's a fucking shit.
It is.
Yeah, but Luxon just can't admit it.
Well, that's the thing is, what it'd say to you is not fucking much. But it is. It's an absolute shambles. And I think I'm just, at this point, I don't understand why David keeps getting away with running around like everybody. He is fucking shit up in so many directions. Yet, Andrew Bailey fucks up a couple of times. He's gone.
Just calling Marzipan Rocks. Apparently, the clip-ons were meant to be temporary. I wasn't aware of that. So.
Oh gosh, that was supposed to be temporary?
450 million on temporary.
Wow. That's crazy.
We're getting around to it.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, it's been a bit of a frustrating week. How about, I think we will do a couple more memes, and then maybe we'll go into our Friday night interview. Are people excited for a Friday night interview? I will give a pre-warning though, people. The audio has a few issues, as Roger's clicking noises. So apologies, that'll be a bit rough. But let's just watch the memes.
We're gonna fix it in post.
Hi, just checking if you have a penis or vagina. I don't want you to make me uncomfortable. I mean, very relevant. I liked this one. 50 years of tax cuts for rich didn't trickle down, study says.
Ooh.
Trump says recession unfortunate, but necessary step to get to depression. I also realized I think we've got a couple of super chats. So let's
Everyone talks about the Great Depression. It was great. It was the greatest depression. America was great during the Great Depression.
The greatest depression ever.
In fact, mine would be the best recession. The best. The greatest. They'll call it the greatest recession.
We got Mr. Arvids for $2. Happy Pride, Bright Hearing News. Thank you, Mr. Arvids. Happy Pride to you. The Southern Moonlight for $5. That meme deserves a Friday fiver. Well, thank you very much. I mean, it wasn't even my meme. It was.
Is that a new thing? Friday fiver?
I don't know. Is it?
I mean, come on, guys. Friday fivers.
I don't like starting these trends. We got Mr. Arvids again for $2 with Send by Cedar. And I love that, but I also hate it. I both hate and love it. We've got Kai Matara for $2. David Seymour is like the Bart to Luxon's Homer. That is so good. Actually, we need someone to make that meme. The people out there who make our memes, maybe you do that one next. And then we've got Rajan for $2. Late fee just got done building a new desk chair. Oh, I'm glad that your new desk chair came. I know the last one broke, so.
Oh, that's right.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually exploded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So I think we'll just introduce the next bit of news we've got. I'll just we'll start with that article. So as you would have seen in the description, we interviewed Aaron Hendry, sorry. And when I was looking up, oh, what's happened to Rogers? He's thing. Anyway, he'll come back in at some point. Okay. So when I was looking, I didn't realize, but the leader of Kickback was funded by this couple like they are the ones who funded it out of their own pocket to build the first ever 24-hour youth emergency center in the country. This is obviously in Tamaki Makaurau on Cape Road.
Bye, guys.
Oh, we back. Nice.
I don't think I went anywhere. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
I couldn't hear you, so maybe it was me.
Okay, sorry.
Nah, you're all good. I don't know if it was me or you or both of us. Who knows? Either way. But yeah, so I don't know if you'd like to speak more to this, Rogers. Obviously, since you've been in and actually talked to him yourself before we.
Look, just Kapai, good on you for just doing what you do and just keep it up, and we appreciate you. We all appreciate you, man.
Yeah, and we're very, very lucky to get to spend some time with him today. So we are going to hop off the screen and we will leave you with ourselves from earlier today before I did my makeup and looked a little more like a human. So
and I fixed my microphone.
Yeah, and fixed the microphone. So let's look into this. All right, kia ora, everyone. So welcome, Aaron. Welcome, Rogers. Thank you for joining us today. So I know we've got you in to talk a little bit about the homelessness problem in Auckland. So I figured just for everyone at home, would you like to maybe just introduce yourself a little bit and, what Kickback and the Front Door is and kind of just let the people know what you do?
Yeah, kia ora. Ko Aaron Hendry toko ingoa. I'm a youth development worker. I run Kickback, which is a youth development organization that's responding to youth homelessness. We do a few different things, really focus on where there are gaps in the system for our young people and try to design services that meet those young people's needs. We do a lot around child advocacy and organizing around youth homelessness and trying to ensure that, we have a response to it. One of our key services at the moment is called the Front Door. So it's kind of like an outreach drop-in crisis center for young people to drop in, get support. We do a lot of work just kind of monitoring and building community for young people that are unhoused and then doing work to sort of support them to get access to their needs, right? So a young person could turn up in the front door, have nowhere to go. We'd start advocating for them to either get them into emergency housing or into transitional housing or build like a community housing plan. But then also, like, we have partners like Youth Law that are with us every week, and so they can get access to legal advice, or CADS or Ease Up and get mental health and addiction support, or we're working with our local PHO to have a kind of a youth health clinic based on site as well. So basically, the idea is, instead of going to 1,000 doors to get support, a young person can just turn up, and then we do the work of bringing those services to them, so they can just get what they need. Big part of what we believe is that there is a better way to develop services for young people. So this service was designed by a group of young people that said, hey, we've experienced homelessness and the system didn't work for us. So how could we build something that could work for our friends and for those coming through? And so that's kind of one of the cool and unique things about our service is that it's been built by Rangatei and it's continued to be developed by young people. Like, they kind of tell us what they want to use the space for and we kind of grow it from there, which has been really cool.
Wow, that's honestly sounds amazing. It actually almost kind of reminds me like when I was a kid, back in the early 2000s, we had a smaller kind of similar thing where our church would feed people on a Friday night. Kids had a good space to go so that they weren't out causing problems. So it's amazing that you guys are doing that, but really sad that you guys have to be the one to kind of be the people to do that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, part of the project started because after years of kind of advocate, I've been a youth worker since I was a teenager myself. Right, I've worked in the housing and homelessness space for much of my career so far in the community, and there've been years of advocating for solutions around that sort of crisis emergency space because outside of this service, there hasn't really been a central service that young people can go to when they experience homelessness. So like a lot of our young people tell us, that first time when they get, they have had to leave home and, they're not knowing where to go and they're sleeping at parks or under benches or like out in the cold by themselves, and just the trauma and the fear of that, right? Like, how do you get that support? And, for our adult whānau, we have these larger kind of identifiable services like the Mission or, others. And, sometimes our young people don't feel safe going into those spaces, or they don't even see themselves identified in those spaces. So then they don't go. And so, our rangatahi told us that it's really important they have a service that they see themselves represented in, that they feel safe in, that they can go to. And so that's been like a real big focus for us, is building that space. And a lot of what we do is probably just about building community, building relationships. And we believe in, universal access to support, right? Like that people's basic human needs shouldn't be something you have to go through a whole bunch of tick boxes to get through, so you think the comparable services right now, like work and income, right? You walk in the door and there's so many barriers to support. You've got to justify yourself and prove that you need to get access to food or to clothing or to a roof over your head. We believe that all you should have to do is turn up, and if you've got a need as a community, we'll work together to fill it. So that's, I guess, what we try to do. Cool thing about the front door for me is that it's all about community and kotahitanga, right? So Kickback is very lucky to have, blessed to have so many partners. We work with Common who rescue clothing and provide us with a lot of really good quality clothing, or Sunday Blessings who do a lot of food rescue in the city centre and filter food to us through their partnerships with Woolworths and the like. And so it's really about the community coming together and providing a response to the needs of our rangatahi and serving together, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that partly actually goes into a question I did have, is sort of what's something that just the average everyday person can do to help contribute to solving these issues, do you think? What's the best way for us to help?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things around youth homelessness right now, so about 50%, and this has been a stable figure in census data for us probably 2016, I think it goes back as 2014 since we started really recording, maybe even longer. 50% of those experiencing homelessness in Aotearoa are rangatahi, right? So under 24, right? Young people and children. That's been a stable figure for such a long period of time. And when we talk about homelessness, our young people often get neglected. Their voices aren't often heard, and strategies that have been developed have excluded them. One of the big challenges we have right now is actually the political will to solve this issue, right? And that takes, I guess, us as a community starting to see how outrageous it is that we have a situation in New Zealand where children can end up sleeping on the street because they can't get access to support, because as a community we haven't funded the right public services to ensure that we can support these young people and these children, and that our services aren't even accessible to our young people and our kids, resulting in people sleeping on the street in the worst cases, which I think we'll talk about soon with the emergency housing stuff. But the reality is this has been an issue that's been long-standing. It's been going on for generations, right? And one of, I guess, our senses that until as a community we find this completely outrageous and unacceptable, it won't change. And so our political leaders need to have a clear understanding that Aotearoa New Zealand wants urgent and critical immediate action on youth homeless, on tamariki homelessness. And we want a clear strategy, which the people of New Zealand are going to keep our governments accountable for, to actually start resolving this. And so like a real tangible action we can all be doing is emailing our local MPs, meeting with our local MPs and just outlining that this is a problem, sharing, follow groups, like Kickback and others that are doing work on youth homelessness, share those comms, share those stories, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, and, put some public pressure on our elected leaders to act. because we're kind of in a moment where obviously there's issues with our government, and we'll talk about all of those. But actually, there's no government that has done enough to solve and resolve youth homelessness. And I think a lot about, hey, if this was my child, what would I be doing? Like, I'd be screaming it from the rooftops that they were in this situation. I couldn't get support for them. Well, these were all of our kids, right? So as a community, what are we doing about it? I think it's one of those big scandals in New Zealand that really we don't pay enough attention to, or we haven't yet. So, I mean, tangibly, that's one small thing that people can be thinking about.
Yeah, and talking to your local representatives is probably actually a good idea. In fact, I think that's a course of action a lot of people sort of overlook, especially when a lot of the focus is on group protests, stuff like that. Just individually reaching out to your local MP, just let them know what you think about what's going on in your society, your community.
I'll tell you, and that's like kind of, one of the values we have in New Zealand around our democracy is we're actually really close to our elected officials, and you have the ability, especially your local MP, to reach out to them, build a relationship with them, and regardless of what political persuasions they are, actually tell them what you think. And that's their job, is to listen, and whether they agree with you or not. That pressure of, hey, this is something that really matters to me. And the more people that are doing that, it builds pressure and it builds up, right? And so, public protests, signing petitions, that's all part of it. But a real tangible thing we can do is, put pressure on your local MP and let them know that you really care about this issue and you want, whatever party or government they're a part of to do something about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly pick up on something else that you said. I think it's really important, that attitude kind of point that you made, because I think the attitudes and values that we hold kind of seem to be a problem along a lot of things that should be maybe bipartisan issues, like, children being homeless or feeding children or housing anyone. So I think that's a really good point to kind of maybe encourage people to try and help others change their attitudes, because I definitely see that being an increasing problem, is that there's some negative attitudes that are starting to grow.
Yeah, and it's and I think there's a fundamental question for us as Aotearoa in New Zealand. Like, what do we really value? Who do we really value in society? And what sort of country do we want to live in, right? Do we want to live in a country where all of our people have access to their basic human needs, where we can all thrive together? Do we want to live in a country where our young people are given the care and the support that they need to do well, to chase their dreams, to succeed in their life? And if that's the sort of country we're interested in, then we need to be ensuring that we are building, the right public services, the right supports, the right infrastructure in our society to care for our people and to care for our most vulnerable children and young people. And I think actually, again, we're in this real polarized moment in society, in the world at the moment. But I think one-on-one, when you speak to a lot of people, it actually holds a lot of those shared values. And I think when you talk to people, that idea that we live in a society right now where a 16-year-old can actually go to a government service, ask for support, be told, we can't help you because of X, Y, or Z, and be then turned away to sleep on like Queen Street or on K Road. Like, that's pretty deplorable, right? That's outrageous. That just, it blows your mind that could happen in a country like New Zealand. And I think it's not a left-right issue. I think in a human level, that's something we can all recognize is really, really wrong, and we should be resolving it.
Also, I think just highlighting that stat you said earlier, if I wasn't mistaken, it was about half of all people winding up on the street were youth. Was that correct?
Yeah, about 50% of all those experiencing homelessness. The way New Zealand defines homelessness, it's sleeping rough, it's couch surfing, it's living in abandoned buildings, it's living in transitional housing and kind of moving around a lot. It's living in emergency housing. So that's kind of a broad definition. So that 50% includes children and young people. Some will be with their whānau and some will be living independently. So we don't in New Zealand do a good enough job of tracking deep into that data, but 50% of unhoused or young people experiencing housing deprivation, housing insecurity, that's huge. That's really big. Shocking. And as a country, we need to think, what is going on there, and why do we not have a strategy to actually address and resolve youth homelessness and urgent action being taken to make sure that this is resolved?
And I think that just makes
for too long.
Yeah, and some of these statistics that are coming out this week, I think it just worsened by that fact. 50% rise in Auckland people on the streets. About half of that's going to be youth, isn't it? Would be a fair assumption.
Yeah, potentially. I haven't seen the breakdown of the data around the sleeping rough perspective. The young people's experience is often a lot different, and they move around quite a lot, so they don't always turn up in those sort of data counts, and they're often harder to pin down. So they'll be sleeping rough, then they'll be couch surfing, then they're moving around, and so they often don't turn up in the data, which is one of the reasons why we call it hidden homelessness, rangatahi homelessness. But yeah, the 52%. So the council wrote a letter, I think it was this week, to the government saying that we need urgent support. We've had a 52% increase in those sleeping rough or out on the street since the government's reforms began, so 3-4 months ago, however long ago now. It really highlights the fact that homelessness exists because of political decisions we make. That sharp increase can be very directly tied to decisions this government has made, which has made things a lot harder for people and made things a lot difficult. Just before we kind of go into the detail on that, though, just to finish that last point, that the existence of that 50% of young people and children sleeping, experiencing homelessness, and how long that's been going on shows that this is not just a national issue. This is not just, an ACT issue. It's an issue that actually all governments have neglected. We haven't cared enough about our kids. We haven't cared enough about our young people. And under the Labour government, this number was pretty persistent as well. And under the National government before then, it also was persistent. So, we need to actually, regardless of who's your party, we need to be holding them to account and saying, actually, our kids matter, and we demand urgent action on this. And, whether it's Labour going in, the next election or this government now, we need to see that you are putting some real clear objectives in place and you're moving at pace to resolve this, to borrow some of the terminology from the current government.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, because that's the thing is, I think what really got me thinking is that if we can do the interventions for homelessness when they're young, that means that we're going to help prevent other things when they're older, because I imagine homeless teenagers might end up being struggling adults who don't have the kind of even skills possibly. I'm also kind of thinking I know that this has been a consistent trend, but also a lot of our youth at the moment, I think all of them went through the pandemic, which has also had, psychological effects on our young people and a lot of flow-on effects. Have you noticed differences in the issues that maybe youth used to have versus kind of what this new batch has had to deal with?
Yeah. First, that point around the intervention. So a lot of our adult whānau that have experienced homelessness long-term, they'll tell you that their experience of homelessness began when they were young, right? A lot of the teenagers and the young people that we work with and we serve will tell us that their experiences began when they were kids, so they were first sleeping rough at 9 or 10 or 11. So Kickback, we're already seeing children. I think our youngest we've had walk into our hub has been 9 years of age, 11, 12, who are already starting to sleep rough or experience homelessness at that young age. So again, there's real issues in terms of the way we are resourcing our system and our service to design solutions for these children and intervene really early. And if we could intervene at that much earlier age, we could be ensuring, that there's support in place for them and we actually disrupt the pathway into homelessness. So, especially that younger age group, some of these issues around, we don't have a child and protection service that is funded to be able to meet the needs of these children. So, Orang Tamariki has been significantly underfunded. The child welfare system has been significantly underfunded probably forever, right? It's never been built to really respond to these needs. And so there's real issues there. In terms of that point around COVID, look, I think a lot of the issues probably are similar. A lot of the challenges around disconnection. I think there's probably from the lens what we work with the young people that experience homelessness, a lot of those breakdowns and lack of community and trust, and all of that stuff was already there. I think we've probably seen another group of children and young people that, because of that, have become more vulnerable due to those, so all these concerns we had around, there was a tiny spike in youth crime just coming out of COVID. Well, it was really to be expected, because a lot of those pro-social activities that you had a whole, group of kids who would have got involved with their local sports club, they would have, gone down and, been the rugby team and, been at dance and drama and doing all this cool stuff, which would have grounded them and stabilized them and been a huge protective factor in their lives. Well, none of that existed for a few years. So there's really important times where, as friends, they would have been building these really healthy social networks. They couldn't do that. and then coming out of that, for some of them, they were already disconnected, and so there's been those challenges there. So, yeah, there's definitely increases around inequality, and access to safe, supportive communities and the sort of support our children need to thrive. And things seem to be getting a lot more difficult for our kids, and it's not just our kids, it's our whānau, right? And I think that's the point we have to continue to remember, that our children are part of communities and a part of whānau, and often the resources in our community to even hold and heal our kids and to look after them are really shredded and torn, and part of that is because of political decisions we continue to make to allow poverty to persist and to allow people to live in substandard housing and to deny people their basic right to shelter. And all of these things impact on our kids, and have a real impact on their life and their quality of life.
Absolutely.
There's been a bit of a talk about the emergency housing wait list as well. Are you aware of any of the people that have come and may have been affected by that?
Yeah, so the emergency housing system, quite it all. Look, first thing to say around emergency housing is it's never been a solution. I'm pretty on the record of saying that I thought that emergency housing, kind of as a model, the way it's been designed and the way it's been used over the last decade, has basically sustained homelessness, right? It's pushed some of our most vulnerable people into really poor, unsheltered, shelter. It has funneled millions of dollars of public money into the back pockets of private moteliers who have exploited some of our most vulnerable people, right? So it is a huge moral failure for society. And there is no one in Parliament right now that has their hands clean of that, right? So both of our major parties have overseen that system, and we're a part of it. What the last government should have done, and they failed to do, was build an alternative model, right? So it's great that you have a roof over the head, but the government could have taken far more responsibility and should have taken far more responsibility to ensure people were going into some form of, a higher standard of shelter, that they were actually designing services and supports and for that immediate crisis point. So if someone needed somewhere to go, they could go there, they were safe, they were cared for, and plans could be put in place around their stable housing. That wasn't done. They used the motel model as a result. So yes, we definitely needed to move away from this emergency housing motel model. And, when the National came in, to their credit, they said some of the right things. They said, look, this has been a failure. People have been hurt. They've been suffered. They've been exploited. We need to do something different. It's not working. And what we had hoped they would have done, and what they should have done, was started to build an alternative model underneath the emergency housing motel model that they currently had in place. And that would have looked like something that, at least the standard of shelter would have been, good quality. There would have been support available. Someone could go there in a moment of crisis and start to get the support to develop a plan over the next 24 to 48 hours and gradually support people into the next step in the housing journey, whether that's transitional housing or stable housing. That would have been the responsible thing to have done. Instead, what this government has done is basically just shut the doors. So they have been saying a lot around how we have, dropped the numbers around emergency housing, and we've moved these kids out of motels into homes. And now, look, that's a good thing. We acknowledge that, right? It's really good that there's been some prioritization around getting children into housing as swiftly as possible. That's positive. But on the other side of it, they have made it harder to access. They have made more rules around sort of like, if you're responsible for your own homelessness, you can't access it. They've created barriers. So like if something goes wrong behaviorally or whatever, they have this behavioral metrics, which to be honest, we don't really understand because we haven't been able to see it. It basically says that, look, if you don't live up to our expectations, we can cut it off, and then it's 13 weeks before you can reapply. They've made it so difficult that you can't really get access to it. Now, the Minister, Tama Pōtaka, and the Prime Minister both say, look, you can still get access to emergency housing if you need it. But the reality on the ground, what we see and what our young people experience is that it's near impossible to get access to emergency accommodation. It might happen every once in a while, but I have absolutely no confidence that even with an advocate, we could get support for someone and get them into emergency housing tonight if they walked in the door in 5 minutes, right? That is, that's kind of the situation we're in. And as a result, what Kickback's saying, and what I think is reflected around the country, and I'm seeing a lot of my colleagues both in Wellington and in other places saying similar things. We're literally seeing people going in, asking for support, being denied, often these experiences are traumatizing. Young people report to us that they feel gaslit, they don't feel believed, they feel traumatized by the experience. They feel blamed for the experience. Often they've been a victim of some form of harm, and they've been blamed for their circumstances, and they've been denied support and turned away to either go back to an abusive and dangerous situation where they're couch surfing and their lives are unsafe, or they've been turned away to go sleep on the streets. And homelessness is something I think we don't fully appreciate in New Zealand, is how dangerous it is to experience homelessness in this country. And now, by not even being able to get into emergency housing, which is the bare minimum, it is pretty poor. But the fact that we can't even get that now is sleeping on the street and staying in that condition. It's even worse, right? So when young people are being turned away from MSD, they're going back into their unstable situations, whether it's a dangerous and abusive living environment where they're couch surfing or on the street or in their car. And often they're reporting to us, instances where they're being abused, where they're being harmed, where they're experiencing some really, intense stuff. And their lives are literally at risk in some cases. And there's also an impact on kind of their mental health and, a risk around suicide and other harm that comes out of that. So, yeah, it's been really concerning. And that speaks to, I think, the 52% increase in people sleeping rough, which the government is not paying attention to, is all part of that. So, if you walk around Auckland City, there is definitely a feeling that there's more people experiencing homelessness. There's more people sleeping rough. And we're seeing that in our service. And I know others are seeing it as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually have been in WINZ and watched not only young people get turned away, but a man who had just gotten out of prison who was like trying to do, like you say, jump through all their hoops and steps, only to be basically told that it's his fault he's in this position and he should have just gotten here earlier, even though he had tried to go through multiple avenues before coming back. And so, like, I have definitely seen that. And that was only maybe a month ago. And
this is the thing. So if you've got a system that relies on advocates to work, it doesn't work, right? That is not a system that's person-centered or designed to support our people. Literally right now, one of my youth workers is at Work and Income trying to support 2 young people to get into housing, and we've done all the work for them. We've found somewhere for them to go. We've got the landlord to accept it. We've basically just all week been trying to get MSD to process some paperwork. Now, that is required, basically the resources of my whole team to advocate to the system to try to push through something that should be just really simple. These young people wouldn't be able to do it by themselves. And now that shows us that it doesn't work. It's not designed to support our people, and people are getting hurt as a result. One of the things Kickback has been calling for since, this week we called for a review of MSD and their application of the emergency housing policy, because right now there is a situation where someone who's vulnerable, who's in danger, whose life is being threatened, who is unsafe, could walk into Work and Income, share their guts out, tell their story, get really vulnerable, and then be told, sorry, we can't help you, come back on next week and we'll book an appointment to start talking about options. Well, look, that's fairly ridiculous. People are getting hurt because of that. So we need to have a review of that. We need to understand, why is that happening? What are the internal policies? What are the internal practices, and what's going wrong there to lead to a situation where people are getting hurt so significantly because of the policy that has been implemented by the government.
And at the end of the day, the basic math just doesn't seem to add up. Some hard stats from the Auckland Council website. 885 applicants were reduced to 39 from 2023 to 2024. That's a decrease of 95%. Yet we've had an increase of homelessness in 50%. So it doesn't seem to add up to me.
And it's important to recognise that. So, one of the comments that was made, I think it was a question from Chloe Swarbrick that prompted the response from the Prime Minister to say, hey, this government's working at pace, we're doing a really good job on homelessness. Well, the reality is just not in step with that, right? So obviously the emergency housing thing, that's the most invisible thing. And it's a real clear reminder that decisions made in Wellington have a real direct impact on our lives, right? And we're experiencing that right now. Many of our most vulnerable whānau and young people are experiencing that. And actually any of us could experience that today because of other policy decisions that have been made. For example, no-cause evictions. Look, we know very clearly that no-cause evictions create increased risk of homelessness for all of us, right? If you're a renter, your risk of homelessness has increased because of this. Lack of public housing. So this government has stalled public housing builds, and it doesn't look like they're going to be developing some developments that have been put in place. So that's slowed down our public housing build. That's put more pressure on the system, which means our most vulnerable people get shoved down to the bottom of the list. Our young people specifically are no longer as prioritized. The homelessness action plan, which had huge gaps in it, there needed to be a lot of work. That's been basically gutted by this government. This government in their last budget cut $20 million that was going to go into youth services that would have provided housing for young people experiencing homelessness. Now, $20 million was a drop in the bucket to the actual need that we have, but it was more than what we have right now, which means there are young people that would have been housed in housing services that would have existed if that money had been spent. That got gutted. So, there's a whole range of policy decisions that this government has made, which has taken us backwards in terms of our response to homelessness. Getting rid of the Minister of Homelessness, I mean, that was a sign, if ever there was one, that there wasn't going to be a focus on homelessness from this government. So, claims that the government is progressing an agenda to end and reduce homelessness are just unfounded. And unfortunately, the evidence is pointing in the opposite direction.
Absolutely. I mean, I know here in Wellington, we have so many empty buildings that people are always calling on to be actually repurposed so that we can have extra homes, because not only do our homeless need houses, just people in general need houses in Wellington, since there's quite a shortage. So, yeah, it's really disappointing to see consistent underinvestment in the future of our homeless.
Yeah. Totally, and it's important to acknowledge that actually I don't think we've had a government that's done enough, right? The last government could have done a lot more, and we can say that. But actively, right now, our current coalition government is taking us backwards. And I think as a country, we need to decide, what do we want? Do we want to have a society and a world where some of our most vulnerable people could sleep on the street? Do we want to have a society where actually any one of us, if we're renters, can be turfed out of our home, and suddenly our lives could be uprooted and our kids' lives could be uprooted? Is this the sort of society we're trying to build? Is this what we want as a country? Is this the equitable, just society that we present to the world? I don't think it is, regardless of whether you voted National or not. I think we can do a lot better for our people.
Absolutely. I guess just to kind of bring it all together a bit, is there any kind of maybe policy changes, or even just something that you would like to see kind of be the first lots of change to kind of actually tackle this problem right now? Because I think that urgency, it does seem like something needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Look, Kickback's calling for several things at the moment, right? So the first is that the government rolls back their emergency housing reforms. We need an immediate and urgent review of the Ministry of Social Development to understand how this policy is being implemented and why it is that vulnerable people in crisis, people at risk of harm, can walk into work and income and be turned away to walk on the street. We need to have the emergency housing reforms rolled back until the public has confidence that people aren't being harmed by this policy. And right now, the confidence isn't there. And the government needs to expedite work on duty to assist legislation. Right, so there's a campaign, a petition you can sign. You can go to Action Station, Duty to Assist, or you can go to the link in the bio at Kickback Make Change on Instagram. Basically, Duty to Assist is legislation which would clarify the responsibility of state agencies to ensure that if someone walked into work and income, there would be an obligation and accountability for that agency to do all they could to prevent that person from experiencing homelessness and to support them into stable housing. So Duty to Assist has been trialled over in Wales. It came in first in 2014. When it came in place, there was a dramatic decrease in homelessness because their housing authorities started to do a lot of work around prevention. They started to actually support people and ensure that actually we prevented people from experiencing homelessness and were able to stay in their housing. And then they also started to develop really good data of where the system was failing, which has given the government some good information they can start responding to. So right now we need to ensure that our government agencies are accountable, and that if you're vulnerable, if you're at risk and you walk into a public service, that they have a responsibility to either refer to MSD or to provide you with an immediate response. So look, that's one thing that we think is really important and needs to happen. Alongside that, or beneath that, look, there needs to be a really urgent and critical strategy into addressing tamariki and rangatahi homelessness, which really looks at all the pipelines into homelessness for our young people and starts to have some real clear actions around what's going to be done to prevent homelessness for young people and also end youth homelessness in Aotearoa altogether. These are all things that could be done. They're fairly achievable, and some of them could happen today if, Minister Louise Upston or Minister Tama Potaka decided they wanted to implement them. But that emergency housing policy could be rolled back over a phone call to MSD this afternoon.
Wow. Okay, well, that's interesting because that's just got me thinking. We've had a bit of conversations through BHN a bit over the last week or so about the children's rights. It seems like a lot of these services should really fall under the actual guidelines we have for children's rights here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So it's really interesting that you say that. And I mean, I will make sure that we definitely share as many links as we can to get those resources out to everyone. And I just also want to say thank you. Thank you for being one of the people that is actually doing the mahi to help people, even though I imagine it's more challenging than it should be for you guys. So just shout out to you and everyone for doing that mahi and looking out for our kids, even though I shouldn't have to and you shouldn't have to. So yeah,
and like we really believe it's about kotahitanga, right? So it's community, and I think it's been again, we're in this moment where it's really easy to feel disempowered and like we don't have control. But like my hope is in us, right? As community, we have so much more power. We don't have to wait for the government to fund something or the government to do something before we act. As a community, we have the power to organize, to come together and say, hey, this is unacceptable in our society. And yeah, we're going to keep our governments accountable and we're going to put pressure on them, but we ain't going to wait for them to move. We're going to move first. And that's something that we really focus on. We believe that youth homelessness is unacceptable in our society and we're not going to accept it. And that's what I guess the front door for us represents. It's community organizing. It's our community coming together and saying, how do we respond now to ensure that our tamariki and our rangatira are cared for and loved and that there's going to be a safe place for them? I think there's some amazing things just like that happening across this country right now, with people saying, hey, there's a need here and we're going to meet it and we ain't going to wait for the government. We're just going to get on and get it done.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm sure if things keep going, I would love to talk to you in the future, hopefully with good updates, but maybe even if there's bad updates. So thank you so much.
Kia ora. Well, thanks for having me, team.
Oh, where did I put us? There we are. Oh, Rogers, we're back.
I fixed my microphone, I think. Do I sound buttery?
Yes, that is a lot more buttery, especially considering the microphone.
How did anyone even get convinced that was my microphone? It's definitely, it wasn't even close. It was the camera microphone. It was all doing it through that.
Yeah, but hey,
StreamYard doesn't like me.
It doesn't matter. I mean, StreamYard doesn't like most of us, but it doesn't matter because honestly, I feel like we learned so much, like even based on the research that we had done before that. Like, I'll be honest, I did have a few moments where I was trying not to fucking cry, to be honest. Like learning about that 50% our youth is just absolutely heartbreaking to hear. 9-year-olds.
It just made the stats so much harder to swallow down, just knowing that half of it could, on average.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, but at the same time, I'm really glad that we did. And I just want everyone to be very aware that Detective Rogers was the one who went down there and organized this interview for us. So like, definitely, if it wasn't for you, we would not have gotten this information. And I'm just glad that we're able to highlight it because it is astonishing that we are allowing our children to be homeless. Like even the words, I feel like there's not even words for how unacceptable it should be. Like, and I even saw in some of the comments, like someone mentioned that like, we even have homeless people in our rural towns now. Like that's supposed to be one of the few places you don't have these issues. Like, and I mean, like Aaron said, it's every government has failed when it comes to this issue. Like National definitely aren't making it any better, and they're definitely adding to, making things worse, but this has been an issue that has been consistently underfunded. And I mean, I saw a lot of people in the chat also mentioning, you know, like there is a lot of correlation between these issues and adults who haven't had the supports that they've needed through life. And, you know, like someone put here, homeless youth are because we don't support solo parents properly often, or we don't deal with the with domestic violence. Like it's all, and I agree, it is all connected, because they're like, I think for me, what I really started to think was, it feels like the trouble in our children is more a symptom of our society than really, you know, these kids just like being dicks or like not wanting to do stuff. Like, I think
kids are dicks, but that's
yeah. I mean, kids can be dicks. That's so fucking true.
You know,
but
kids are immature. They make, you know, mistakes, and that's just something we've got to accept. That we accept that people under 25, they're not fully developed. You know.
Yeah, but I think it's very clear that, like, you know, the lack of support from all the way through, you know, like, hey, maybe if we fed kids in school, which will help them with their learning, and then when they become adults, so we make sure they don't get homeless in between that point, and then when they become adults, they might be fully functioning humans who can, like, I don't know, pay taxes, because people like when people pay taxes, right?
I mean, maybe in 20 years from now, when it's that those kids have grown up and they're noticing that their education was stinted from not being properly fed, and maybe the people before them or after them got a better education. Much like we're noticing with, I think it was National Standard style stuff right now with education. There's a bit of noticeable difference in some generation in terms of their education. So who knows? Who knows what the future statistics will get? But hindsight's 2020, as they say. It's better to try and address this before it's an issue.
Yeah. Also, I think you've got your mic to pick up your voice, and it's not picking. It's dropping out a little bit, so you might want to fix that. All good. But
that might have been the noise cancellation
thing.
There we go.
All right. But yeah, I mean, and I mean, I saw a lot of people were struggling with a lot of the, you know, they're hard statistics to swallow. It's a hard conversation to have. But at the end of the day, like, we currently have a bunch of kids on the street tonight or on someone's couch not knowing where they're staying next. Like, my biggest problem is my rent is really hard to afford. You know what? At least I've got a house over my head. But also, like Aaron pointed out, I am a renter, so that could change at any fucking minute.
So am I.
Yeah.
And, I'm in one of the percentage that's spending more than 30% of my wages on rent, so which is not recommended.
Oh, I don't want to know. Mine's definitely more than that. That's for freaking sure. I also actually in the comments, apparently 23% unemployment among young people at the moment, which is another.
I didn't look at employment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you put that with the homelessness issue, like, I'm worried about our rangatahi, like our 24s and unders. It's not good, and obviously Auckland's disproportionately affected. But I mean, it's clear from the comments that this is an issue that's being felt across, like, the Motu, really.
And I did find in my research we've had an average increase about 6% annually the last couple of years in wages, but apparently that's pretty skewed statistics towards the upper echelon. So it's mainly people who have high incomes whose wages have gone up. People in lower and middle incomes have remained fairly stagnant, apparently. So.
But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to keep an eye out, and hopefully we don't have to hear from Aaron with any bad updates, but hopefully maybe we'll be able to talk to him again in the future. I think after all of that, though, I think we need some memes just to kind of wash off all of the horrible realities of the world. So we got Elon's Musk, which this one was funny.
Wait, Poor wankers. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah, Parfum de 1939, Pour wankers. You gotta say like French, you know, so it's sexy. So Elon's Musk. Is that how we say it? I don't know. I'm not French.
I don't want to say that phrase.
Then we got the Fast and the Furious.
I love how curiously this guy's just looking.
Right.
I see that. I'll check that out.
This one was
PG
actually
too,
from
apparently.
Chewy in the Discord. IKEA's oligarch chop, which, as Uncle says, if we don't choppy, they won't stoppy. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed way too hard at these because he really didn't win that interaction, but this I love.
That's pretty good.
And I mean, the person who noticed this to make it into a meme, impressive.
That's someone with paper scissors rock autism specifically.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Canada. I can excuse America's racism, sexism, and transphobia, but I draw the line at tariffs. You can excuse racism, sexism, and transphobia? Also, if you haven't watched Community, watch Community. It's great. We've got the Dow Jones absolutely plummeting down. And a good old I did that from Trump. And a concerning a Vladimir Putin president USA. Apparently he's just president of the USA now. They've taken the mask all the way off. And they're like, yep, all hail the overlord.
The president? I'm not sure.
We've got a Beavis and Butthead. Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, everything's computer.
I think they go like that, don't they?
I've
never actually really watched it.
I'm not a Beavis. See, that's uncool. That's Papa Pat's favorite show. I am too young for that to be my favorite show. Since everyone likes to talk about how fucking young I am. Every superhero is woke dipshit. It came free with the fucking concept of fighting social injustices. And if you don't know that that's the case, you should. Because
I mean, yeah, well, what's more woke than fighting Nazis? That's what a lot of the first superheroes did.
Exactly. You know? Record-setting $2 billion jackpot was won by one person in Altadena, California. The person received $424 million after taxes. The reply: imagine you win the lottery and suddenly you're the only billionaire getting properly taxed. And damn, that's true. Also, good old Jordan Rivers from the Leftist Collective. Men will literally do anything but go to therapy. Under fire. National MP Andrew Bailey takes a break to climb Everest. And I mean, he's not wrong. I also love how just
make it?
I don't know.
I hope I'm kind of hoping he just doesn't come back, honestly.
I mean, you know, there's not everyone makes it on the walk up. So
yeah.
You know.
I don't know. Yeah.
It might cry.
You know, it preserves the body well, so.
But DEI Winston, you're weak. Anti-DEI Winston, I'm you, but senile. Oh, this one actually almost
was that Lee Hart?
Yeah, so I actually, when I was scrolling through Instagram, I actually saw this meme, and I was kind of half asleep, so I was just like, wait, what the hell's happening? Because I genuinely thought this was real for a second. Yeah, National replaced Luxon with the hell is sausage guy. Hope nobody notices.
I mean, I'd love this.
But the thing is, this government is such a joke. I could have believed this would have happened. Like,
he does look like him too, doesn't he?
He's a better looking one, to be honest.
Oh, he's better looking. He's funnier. Like, he's actually got some really good old like YouTube clips. If you go look up Lee Hart, he's got like the world's fastest chef or something like that, where he just does like an impromptu cooking session, just throwing shit everywhere.
Funny you
I don't
say
know.
that, because do you know he's a cooker? I was aware of this, but yeah, I mean, hey,
Yeah,
we
I've
can
seen
still
him
watch
around a
his
couple of
funny old
times.
stuff. Oh, really?
It's kind of well. I've never gone up to him because he's always with his kids. But I sort of I'll give him a just to not bother him, a wink, wink back. He knows.
Also, Kiwi Skirt, a sausage cooker. Hell yeah, that's I love that. That's gonna be a supplemental meme. All right, we will save some more memes for later, eh? We should do some more actual news now that we've
Let's do some news.
gotten our Wairua back into a better space, so that we can talk about benefits getting cut. Yay! That's also why we needed to save some memes, so that we need to have something good to look at. I will just share. So this one we don't have a video for, but I thought we'll just go through a bit of the article to begin with, and just have a bit of a cordial about this one, especially since, as someone who is a beneficiary, I learned some stuff this week that wasn't super fun to learn.
A lot of us did, I think.
Yeah, so as many of us have seen, the article titled "I Can't Survive on $55 a Week, Benefit Cut Due to Hospital Stay." Now, this entire article was actually made through emails, because this person's condition is so severe that she can often is not able to speak. And so they had to do all of this through email correspondence, which, I mean, from the get-go is already a pretty horrible space to be in.
From personal experience with WINS, if you're not calling them up or going in, you're not going to get anywhere. So, yeah.
And it seems like that's only gotten worse, because, it says that she's been bedridden in Wellington Hospital for months and has been confined there. She's unable to walk and is hardly able to speak. Her days consist of tossing and turning in a bed and desperately trying to find ways to distract herself from chronic pain and exhaustion, which I can unfortunately relate to quite a lot.
With chronic pain.
She says it's like dying, but you're still here, and an end to the suffering never comes. She suffers from myalgic encephalomyelitis / chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a long-term illness that causes extreme fatigue, problems with thinking and sleeping, dizziness and pain. And often people with this condition, they can't stand up without fainting a lot of the time. It's a very horrible, understudied disease that is also, there's not a lot of information, so doctors don't have a lot of treatment options available, which is why she's...
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, so it's actually it's often, so the condition that I have, which is, it's very similar. So yeah, they can often be, I believe some of the main causes can be from infectious diseases. You can actually, it's quite similar to long COVID, actually, in that you can have an infection or some kind of illness that then triggers this response in your body, which is pretty horrible as well, because then not only do you have such a horrible condition, but you go from being perfectly functioning and normal, or whatever your normal was, to all of a sudden your entire life has changed. Everything that you were once able to do, you now have to go through a grieving process and being like, oh cool, I can't live life the way that most people could, or even I used to, because you also learn how much the world is not made for disabled people when you become disabled.
And on top of that, you figure out your benefits cut after 13 weeks.
Yeah, and so that's what they go into here. And I actually did check it. And I mean, I knew this was likely the case because they love their 13 weeks. But yeah, so if you go to the hospital, they state on their website, your benefits or payments will keep being paid for the first 13 weeks. Then your payments will go down to $55.35 unless you either have a partner and a child or are a veteran. They do say that there are means and ways that you can have basically special funding included and increased to top up your benefit. But as they actually go into in this article, she did everything. She jumped through all the hoops, like we were talking about with Erin today. Her and her case manager sent off all the information, and I believe, yeah, so she received an email on January 27th to say that it would be cut. And so because she has medication that can cost $200 every 1 to 2 months, as well as osteopath, physio, and consultations with a specialist in New York, because obviously this condition is really, really rare. And
so this person has a lot of needs that need to be met.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that WINS would have already been aware of, because she would have given them all that information. Her caseworker delivered this information to a WINS office in Wellington and requested a review on February the 14th. This information was also sent via email, but she heard nothing back, and 2 weeks later her benefit was cut.
But it won't affect the front line.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is that, like, they do go into it as well, is that, like, there's a lot of things that have been automated.
Yes,
and that is a problem. Because, yes, I believe that, here, so beneficiary advocate Kay Brereton said the decision to significantly reduce someone's benefit amount, particularly someone who was disabled and in hospital, shouldn't be automated. And that's one thing I'm finding quite frustrating, because I myself am on the supported living payment due to my recent diagnosis of fibromyalgia. So I am now currently on what is called a supported living payment, which, thanks to the comments, I learned if I was to go into hospital, I only get 4 weeks, not 13.
Why is that?
So,
you're just less important for no reason.
Like, honestly, the only answer I could give you is because fuck the disabled. That's literally the only, like, and that's what is frustrating, is because, like, to even get onto that specific payment, you have to be disabled either basically permanently or for an extended period of time that exceeds 2 years. So it's not easy to get on. It is not easy as well, because there are a lot, like, I have friends who are also on this that have, like, my friend literally chopped off some of her hand, yet they still make her come in and go, hey, has anything changed yet? Like, bro, her hand hasn't grown back. You know, like, it's just so frustrating, because these are people who are already struggling with, you know, fatigue and the ability to do basic functions every day, and now they've got to do this on top of it somehow.
And well, so what I found from this is it goes back to 1965 was when this rule was established, and it has been amended multiple times, 1985, 1987, 98, 01, 04, 05, 08, 2013, and that some of those have had several amendments. So it's not like this was some unknown law that has not gone before the eyes of people in Parliament. They've specifically made amendments to this, such as like just some clarifying how much of the benefit is going to be received when in hospital, whether or not it, you know, classifying what 13 weeks cutoff meant, certain things like that. In 2008, they ensured it was compliance with the UN disability rights. So, but you know, they don't seem to give a shit about the disabled people, though.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised, given, I mean, we've also signed up to the UN Declaration on Indigenous Peoples, and we don't really abide by that either. So,
but you think that would be a good time to review that law, perhaps, when you were making that amendment or something? Like, is this cruel? And I don't think this has been really mentioned at all, as far as I'm aware, since ever, as far as I know. I don't know. Is anyone else? I don't know. Someone in the comments say if they've ever heard any discussion about this in public discourse, but this is the first I've ever heard of it. So,
yeah, I mean, to be fair, when it comes to stuff with WINS, like, no one ever pays attention to WINS stuff. Until it goes really bad, but also because they like to obscure things. They always have made it, like, whether it's the current WINS now or the WINS when my mum was having me and my brother, like, they've always tried to obfuscate and kind of make sure that you're not really aware of what you're entitled to or you can even ask about. Like, and I mean, the thing is, like, I know so many people, they're like, oh, well, I have to go get an advocate, I have to get an advocate to go in with me to WINS. And like Aaron was saying before, if you need to have an advocate, it's not a working system. And like, this system has been not working in multiple areas for a long time. But just, especially when it comes to, like, implementing things like these, I think, like, a lot of people weren't even aware for a long time. And some people may not even be aware that, like, even when it comes to, say, relationship requirements, basically what they deem to be a relationship where they'll then basically cut your benefit in half is pretty fucking wild, to be honest. Yep. It is.
You have someone kind of loosely associated who can maybe give you money. It's like,
yeah, well, like, you're hooking up with someone on the semi-rigs, but yeah, it's not like that. Like, they could still technically be like, oh, well, it meets these requirements. And
are you having sex with someone? Yeah, ask them for money.
Right? Like, I'm not a prostitute, thank you very much, sir. I could be, but not right now. But it's just, and the thing that frustrates me with it, though, is that it also has always led to things like domestic violence, because a lot of the time, if anyone either declares that they're in a relationship, and then they get their benefit cut in half, that means they're now tied to that person wholly. Otherwise, they don't declare it because they don't want to have that happen, and then they don't want to go and say, oh, I'm being abused by my partner, because they don't want WINS to find out. Like, it is horrible that these things are just acceptable, and everyone's like, oh, well, the government gives you money so that you can live, so you should just be happy. Which is like a disgusting attitude that people have towards unemployed people.
Yeah. When a lot of people's response is, well, why should you live off mooch off the government dollar? Why should you mooch off tax dollars? And then, like, the government's basically trying to suggest to you, you should go mooch off this other guy. This person you got a kind of associated relationship with. You got a semi-intimate relation. Go ask them for money.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I guess that's what they do with their private investors. So maybe they're trying to model their behaviors, maybe?
Is that what they think equity is? You treat people like you treat corporations.
Yeah, we should privatize ourselves, which means everyone should go get a sugar parent. I guess maybe
have we considered this. Yeah.
Or maybe you could have, like, a sugar board. I don't know.
A sugar
just have, like, a board of people who will just figure it out.
You can have the sugar mafia.
Oh. I love that. But yeah, it's just...
It wouldn't be the first time a business has been called a mafia. The PayPal mafia, that's a thing.
I mean, to be fair, this government feels more and more like a bloody mafia with the way that they're treating all of us. I mean, it's just frustrating to see that, like, and I mean, I think a lot of us were already predicting this to happen. Like, if we're all honest with ourselves, we knew this was going to happen. We knew that things like this were going to be getting worse. Like, and I mean, the fact is, this has been something that has been there for a while, but the way and how long they've taken to respond, I feel like is definitely a lot more of a current issue, because it has been getting, and I know you and I have talked at length about some of the, the wait times on call when you call up the line. And I think someone else in the comments, you know, mentioned the fact that, you know, oh, there we go, yeah, more barriers equals numbers go down, which means they save more money so they can give it to their house homies. That's just a term I came up with now, house homies.
House homies?
Yeah, and it's just, it's frustrating because you always know that when we talk about these subjects that people are always just going to go to that benefit bashing mentality of, oh, well, you know, you should just be lucky. Like, you know what, bro? I wish, you know, do we really think that that girl who is a woman who is in the hospital right now, do we really think she wants to spend more than 13 weeks in a fucking hospital?
Yeah. And look, experience in IT systems, I can tell you, your automated system is going to break constantly.
Yeah, and that's the other part of
it. Working.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and they've definitely seemed to change it in such a weird way. Because, again, I think I talked about it last time we were talking. I got yet another letter from them before my old supported living was thing. They're like, oh, it's like 4 weeks away, and you got to give us that certificate again, buddy. And then they sent me the being like, you've been cut off, even though they were in the middle of doing stuff. And it's just like, oh.
And we're just assuming all the computers and systems and the software that they're using are new. I can almost guarantee you they're not. They'll be decades old. They'll just be stuff that they've jerry-rigged together to keep going, because that's what all these businesses do. Like, you know, businesses do them, governments do them. They have very outdated software and equipment, and they just keep it going forever.
They're usually horribly inefficient. But yeah,
like I interact with some software from the 70s still at my job. So
what?
yes, an old IBM system that was made in the 70s.
Okay, my mum was made in the 70s. That's wild.
Yeah, and it's just because they made a very specific piece of software back then, and rather than paying someone to make the new software, they've just constantly just been sort of trying to jerry-rig it so it works with newer and newer operating systems. So, which
I'm sure is definitely not going to fail horrifically at some point.
No,
definitely not. Also just seeing here that people
it fails all the time, FYI. I fix it.
Right? National Benny bashing? No, never. I'm shocked. Heavy sarcasm implied. And I mean, that's it, isn't it? Is that, like, we're not surprised. And it's so fucking frustrating. I think, though, we should probably get to some super chats. And absolutely. I forgot to do housekeeping at the beginning of the show, so let's do it now. Why not?
Housekeeping.
Yes, housekeeping. So you can support us if you like, if you can, by a minimum of $5 a month for Patreon. Also, bhnshop.nz is open. So go get your goods there, and obviously come to the Discord. Come hang out with us. Come chat. Send me memes. Send me news articles. It's honestly a really good time there. And I'm really excited for us to get those new merch coming out with the tax work less tax. I just forgot the word in the middle now. I'm bad. I'm terrible. Wealth. There we go. I don't have wealth, so my brain couldn't quite think of
what is that thing that I need.
What is that thing that I don't have that rich people have? Yes, wealth. There we go. Yes, and we've got some super chats. So, Excel Deer for $2. Bad food news only on days ending in Y. Oh, you're so right, and I hate that. Kiwi Bird for $2. I found out tonight that the moon is a labor fat. What? I might need you to explain the joke to me, Kiwi Bird. Just Discord message me. I want to know what that means.
We saw some account or something earlier that was called. Yeah, I know what you're referring to, but I don't remember what it was.
Burb can message me and we'll figure that out, because I did actually see this isn't a paid one, but apparently there's a lunar eclipse going on right now, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't know that was happening.
Oh, that's it. That's the joke. It's red. moon's red.
There
you go. You answered your own.
Okay, you know what? I take that back. I take that back. Oh, that's okay. All right. Kaimatara for $5. People forget these policies oppressing us disabled people could affect them too. Most people are one bad illness or injury away from becoming disabled. This is something that is just people need to realize. And also, like, if you want to grow to an old age, guess what? Old people become disabled. So even if you don't get there sooner, you're probably going to get there later. So, like, accessibility helps all of us, and it doesn't really harm anyone. It only adds to, especially because us disabled people are really funny. So if you let us come to the places, we can be funny around you. We got It's in the Ballot for $10. In 2009, I cut my finger and nicked the tendon. Had 2 visits to Hutt Hospital, 1 for surgery, no overnight stay, but my case manager said I needed to be put on hospital rate because of my admission. Jesus! Wait, who was in government in 2009?
That would have just been Key.
Yeah,
just Key government.
I thought so. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That's pretty cooked. Another $2 from Mr. Arvids. Sugar CEO, Chief Sugar Officers, Sugar Manager. Oh, I love that. I'm stealing all of that.
I want to be Sugar Manager, actually.
Is that you got to get promoted in the ranks, right? Got Kaimatara for $5 again. Thank you so much. Oh no, I don't get benefit when in hospital over 4 weeks, but wealthy, able-bodied landlord Luxon is entitled to WINS accommodation money. Totally fair. Another amazing point from Kaimatara, as always, to be honest.
Well, what he would say to you is he's entitled to it. So
what he would say to you is
entitled to it.
Stop being disabled, skill issue. Like he's just like, get good, scrub. Maybe you shouldn't need to, like, I don't know, have extra help. Good. And Jeremy Naylor, $2. Thank you for the late fee.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, those are some good chats, guys.
Thank goodness, because I was feeling down.
Right. I love how we're just kind of on this like roller coaster right now of emotions.
Haven't cried.
Oh, real though. Okay, so I think given the time, we might just quickly run through one small little story that I wanted to cover, but where did I put it? I put it at the bottom of your document. That's why I was playing around in your document. Sorry.
Don't touch my docs.
Right. This is why we shouldn't be sharing. Anyway, I will just share my screen real quickly. This is like a story that wasn't something that I found in the headlines, but was actually sent to my email through Action Station from friend of the show, Cassie. I thought it was quite interesting, and so I thought we might just have a quick corridor about it. It's something that is a little concerning and a little not fun, but so apparently the Free Speech Union is planning a takeover of the non-governmental organization Internet NZ, which operates the .nz domain space. And it advocates for an accessible and safe internet that believes everyone in Aotearoa. They recently looked into systemic racism, and as a result, they gotta
get probed.
Right. As a result, they enshrined Te Tiriti o Waitangi into their constitution. This obviously upset the Free Speech Union. They weren't a fan of that. And is now running a campaign to stop that constitution going ahead. One thing about this, however, is that it's basically a numbers game. because it's a members vote. So what they are asking is that anyone who is able and wants to support basically going against the Free Speech Union and being dicks, it is a $21 sign up, but it means that you will get invited to have a say at the upcoming AGM. And obviously we all know the Free Speech Union probably have quite a bit of numbers on their side. And yeah, it says here, if they succeed, then it will send a clear message that bad faith takeover tactics are acceptable.
It's the easiest sell for them because it's easier just to say, well, you want free speech, right? You know, without thinking...
Well, yeah, and that's exactly it. They've done that very stereotypical right-wing thing of like, oh, they're just trying to steal everything or control everything. When really it's like, no, we're trying to make things more like the whole point of it was to make it about the accessibility, because things aren't accessible to all of us. Otherwise, why do we have such a disparity between, say the top 311 families in this country? All those things. And it's frustrating that you kind of, to do this route, it is something that you have to have money to participate in, which is infuriating. But yeah, I just wanted to basically let people know, be aware of the issue and the cordial going on right now. Because yeah, I am a little concerned. There is, if you want to read some more about it, there is actually, I'll put a link. There is a article that was actually published last month about censorship fears over this constitution. So I'll send that into the chat. But yeah, I definitely think that if people are able to, they should keep an eye. Go join up if you can. That would be... there's too many. You know what? The link's going to be a douche, so I'm going to send it to Skirt and she can do her magic because she is the best and we love her so much. Thank you, Skirt. So that was just something that I wanted to quickly touch on because I want us to actually be able to go through some of our more fun, happy stories so we can enter into the weekend with some feeling less like you want to peel your face off while you scream. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think to start with, we'll finish off our memes. Chad left. Everyone knows I love Chad left, but this amazing post about a Prime Minister job. So we got Prime Minister, New Zealand National Party. Step into a new and exciting role as the face of a nation. Ideal candidate will appear businesslike and use the word economy frequently. No further qualifications required. Starting date ASAP. Applicants encouraged to apply with urgency.
I love the last bit. Annual salary 498 300 plus entitlements.
Plus entitlements, yes. Gotta have your entitlements. There'll be a new direction with National. Backwards. And
is that the hell this guy?
I actually thought that I took you seriously for like a split second there. This meme has to stop getting me. I just like this one because whether you're honestly, no matter what, like there's quite a few countries now this applies to. Just y'all got any more of that previous administration? Me every time I see Jacinda Ardern. Oh, come back. This fun little comic. We found your 14 layers of middle management. Mind-boggling. Yeah, there's the 14 layers, people. It's in his dumb head. We didn't have a lot of community memes, but I did appreciate this from Kai Matara. Force our tupuna to speak English and get mad at us for speaking Māori. Also Pākehā. I am a man. I don't have or use pronouns. Which is so just irony.
Interesting. I was thinking it looks a bit like a lady, but you know, he could pass.
Let's not go into the fact that, like, yeah, what about all the frilly skirts and dresses that were made for men? Like, let's have that caught it all. Kiwi Burb just Always doing a little.
Yeah, these
fun.
look good. I love.
I know, right? I feel like this picture of Nintendo DS. It's a
every
gift.
time I see it, I love it.
It's a gift
I
that
want
keeps
it to.
on giving.
It needs to pop up on the moon. Someone needs to get that on the moon.
Oh my god,
somehow.
yes. I
Get
would love
Seymour's
that.
face.
I feel like if you were to be like, what is a Tonga of BHN? This is definitely a Tonga for sure.
Imagine everyone coming out and it's a red blood moon with Seymour's face on it.
Oh god. That's like a horror movie. That would make me scream and cry.
What if it's Skibidi Toilet but with Seymour?
Oh my god. You know what? That actually feels right.
It might work actually. Someone get on that. Skibidi Seymour.
Yeah, he is pretty skibbity. So like that feels right. Also apologies to all of our older skibbity is a Gen Alpha thing. Don't ask, it's not worth it. It's brain rot. And then our creation of the week is David Slopmore.
Seymour Toilet. That was a good one too.
I love this one. I mean, they're both good, but this
good on you, Aiden. We love you.
Right? Yeah, we do love Aiden. Shout out, homie. All right, let us share. Now that we've finished the memes off, let us share some of our good news. I believe you had some good news for us, didn't you?
Well, it's not necessarily good news. It's just sort of more exciting in the political arena. We just got a bit of back and forth going on with Luxon and Farnow. It's always entertaining.
That's right.
This is actually going off a article so it's not going off, but I'm just recalling an article I read earlier in the week where Tory was actually opening up to, I think, RNZ, or I'm not sure which outlet, but saying how essentially she wanted to sort of pack it in not too long ago. She was ready to quit because of all the public pressure. She was like target number uno, but in hindsight, it seems to have made her stronger. So I agree, and I don't know. You're being represented by her, so how do you feel?
No. I mean, I love Tori. Like, I've made no thing about Victor. I love her. She's amazing, and I just love the way like she handles everything so well. You know, she has just had thing after thing kind of shat at her, and like the way that she's been treated has been pretty gross at times. And no matter what, like I'm just impressed with how she just takes everything in her stride, doesn't like diminish her own mana by trying to like play games or whatever. She knows who she is, she knows her kaupapa, and she sticks to it. Like she has integrity, which is probably why I'm so in love with her, because there's not a lot of integrity.
I kind of hope she goes national, like to do the national politics later on. I would love that. Like,
well, so she can change them from the inside out.
Yeah, no. Just I'd like to see her in the beehive, fucking giving shit.
I mean, she's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so as we all know, Luxon was doing his infrastructure sell this week, and Wellington, he recommended everyone put in a bid, I think, especially Wellington, and they didn't. And he said, well, that's pretty lame-o in my view of it. You know, and Tori said, well, Cuxon's not a nice person, so fuck him.
Well, I'm sure she said Luxon, but yes.
Oh, she said Luxon. There was a Freudian slip, excuse me.
Yes.
But yeah, she said, no, he's not a nice person, and that they're going to focus on their water infrastructure reform that he duly cancelled. Thanks, guys. And she said, with due respect, Prime Minister, we will deliver a deal. It will just be in our timeline. We are determined to get this right. Wellington did not vote for him, she said.
Exactly. And I love their response.
Oh no, I just unplugged my headphones.
Oh, that's fine. You're just missing me saying it's great response.
And she said one more thing. She acknowledged to the spin-off she was interviewing that this does benefit her politically, and she said, "Of course, it works for me because a lot of people in Wellington don't like him."
Yeah, I wonder why.
And we have Luxon's response via video. He was interviewed today, so we'll see what he has to say.
Yes, I will pop that up for you. I've got it open I just hadn't pre-queued it and shared it because I'm so professional. Hey. All right. Let's see what he has to say.
She said that you're not a nice person and you've been picking on her and the council from the beginning.
Oh my goodness. My mum thinks I'm nice. But the thing I'd say is that
there you have it.
My comments were
his mum thinks he's nice.
Okay, I have to really resist the urge to punch my screen right now. What a dumb fucking response.
It's not even good. It's like a cell phone. My mom thinks I'm nice.
It's like feels like a self-own, but also just like the feigning the like
my heart broke.
How will I ever survive? Like he
did a heart. My half goes out to you. That was almost a salute.
I mean, look at him. He's got no hair on his head. What do they usually call those people in a certain group?
Oh, the Hellers guy.
Yeah, the Hellers guy. That's definitely what they call them. I mean, yeah, it's just he's just such a joke. I'm just.
Yeah, and anyway, the rest he just goes on to complain about. Look, they were supposed to. We were strongly recommending, and it's just a big disappointment. It's like, well, she's pretty much made it clear she's focusing on water that you fucked up.
Right. I mean, to be fair, if anyone's going to say what being a disappointment's like, Luxon probably can say something about that.
I guess so.
I mean, honestly, his mum should be disappointed.
He was born, and his mum was like, "I thought I was going to get the Hellers guy." But, I'm sorry, I'm driving this truck to the ground.
Nah, hey, I love it. I'm absolutely fucking here for it. I am also just queuing up my stuff. Oh wait, that's not. Is it gonna? No, that's not gonna work anyway. I have to. Oh no! See, look, I buggered it. I pressed the wrong one. More powerful. But yeah. I think we will start flowing into finish, and we're going to look at a couple of things that I couldn't show us all last week, actually. So
that's a good question. Has anyone seen Luxon with hair? He may have been born that way.
I mean, who knows?
We might be making fun of a birth defect, so maybe we should just,
He is a birth defect. Oh no! So
when you cut the tumor off and keep the tumor,
right? No choppy, no stoppy. But yes, so obviously we're partway through Pride Month, but I just thought for all of those who might be interested to know, the Auckland Pride Festival grew out of the Hero Parade and Festival in the early 90s, which were timed to take place a week or two before the massive Sydney gay and lesbian Mardi Gras in Australia. So Auckland Pride basically celebrates then. But for Wellington, Christchurch, and Dunedin, the reason that we celebrate Pride in March is because of the fact that on March 7th, 1985, Fran Wilde introduced the Homosexual Law Reform Act into Parliament. And obviously for this, it says consensual same-sex activity, but this was also specifically between men because obviously lesbian sex didn't count, so therefore
it was legal. I believe at the time, where I have a fun fact from an old New Zealand fact book that's from the 70s, where it says males homosexuality is illegal and it's legal for females, but it's the inverse for prostitution. So male prostitution, they could get away with it. Well, technically that was illegal. So
what a crazy double standard. I love those. I love crazy shit like that from the past. Honestly, it's wild. And also for anyone in Dunedin, we've still got a few things going on. There's also an awesome queer leaders panel that is on Sunday, where Benjamin Doyle will be one of the panelists. So highly recommend going along to that. As you can see, we've got some craft activities, film screenings, and rainbow stories. And there's even Pride church services, not just in Dunedin, actually. There's also a Pride church service, I believe, in Wellington as well, which you can find on the Wellington Pride Festival website. They have an amazing PDF format of all of the events. I highly recommend going and checking them out because this weekend I know we've got a shared lunch that's happening. There's going to be a beach party. I think the church service might be next week. There are so many things happening. A lot of it is free. And yes, gay churches, sign me up. Kiwi Burb, there is going to be gay church happening. I believe it's on the terrace, actually, I think. But yes, go be gay and church.
Gay
and
for
stuff.
God.
Right?
Gay for
I
God.
love that. I love that.
And in fact, can we
that.
go back to that previous picture just for a second?
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was amusing, especially coming from. Well, I'm stuck in my '90s brain, and I'm seeing that sign that says, "What was it? 10% of all New Zealanders are gay." And I'm like, at the time, that could almost be seen as an insult.
Actually, you know what? I hadn't paid attention to the thing, so I'm just impressed you picked up on that. Let's
I just chuckled. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, 10% of New Zealanders are gay.
Also, you got Luxon's down there with his sign saying "Hi, Mum."
Oh, yeah, look, see, fascists. Oh, they're back in fashion, guys. I like that. Actually, yeah. Now I'm like, what is our percentage? It's definitely above 10% now.
Oh yeah, I think they think it's way higher. And then again, that's like because you're going into spectrum stuff. It's like, geez, what even is gay? So
right,
everyone's a little gay. Come on, guys, get over it.
And if you're not, you can always try. Like, no one's stopping you.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't have to do it again.
Yeah, just because you try being gay doesn't mean you have to say, okay, well, I guess I'm stuck this way now.
Right.
Also, just one more thing. For those that are curious, I did hear this. I think it was yesterday. There is a explanation on tomorrow. I think it's Saturday morning RNZ called "Polyamory for Dummies." For anyone that doesn't understand, is fairly curious about polyamory, and trust me, that it's a very misunderstood dynamic. That I think a lot of people they think it's more.
They just think we're
polygamy, the kind like something like that. But
oh yeah, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, polygamy and polyamory, those are two completely different things. But very interesting to know. Maybe we'll have to get the link sent out. And also obviously just the last few dates that we've got for Ōtautahi Christchurch. There's macrame bracelet making tomorrow, which I am quite jealous. Also, if you finish the show and you're in Ōtautahi, you can go down and do rainbow karaoke till 1 a.m. So there's still time for that one. There's even some Prosecco pride parties, a lot going on there. And then I thought, just to finish us off, we've got one meme and we're gonna play a game. I've decided we're playing a game because I wanted to play this last time. And as you're
turning into Saw? Am I?
No, hey!
I'm just making sure there's a crap not coming out of something.
What are you trying to say about me? I would never. I am good. But no, this is a meme from last week. So this is a Matatini meme, but it needed to be shown.
Day 1 of watching Te Matatini. Day 2 of watching Te Matatini. Day 3 of watching Te Matatini. Tēnā tātou, ko te rātua whātei nei, e mātaki ana I te matatini. Mauri ora.
Honestly, every time I watch it, it's so good.
That hard cut to where he's just got the hat, just
right. It got me. It got me in a place. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we are going to play a game that is just a fun, silly little post from Actually, I realized if I share it this way, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So what we're going to do is I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to use my own Facebook to look up something, which is always a fun game to play when you're doing internet stuff. But you know what? I trust the people. I might regret that, but I do trust the people. Here we go. All right. Now let's play a game, everybody. And the game is not figure out what's hiding on my Facebook. Just going to make that very clear. We are going to play Luxon Buzz Speak Generator. So, we're going to go through. You can use your first name initial and your last name initial to get your the first half of the generator. So for me, mine would be Accelerate, Insight Lead. What would yours be, Rogers?
Well, A, leverage, and R, high impact. Leverage, high impact.
Okay, so your leverage, high impact. I'm Accelerate, Insight Lead. And then we'll go to the next one. So mine's Accelerate, Insight Lead, Market Leadership. Don't know what that means. And what would yours be?
Oh, wait, this goes first or last?
No, so your leverage.
Okay, leverage.
High impact.
High impact. Leverage, high impact. Data insights. Leverage, high impact. Data insights.
Ooh, that actually kind of works. I like that. But yeah, if you guys want to pop yours in the comments, or even just go have a look at his post and play around. I'm seeing I'm seeing a few in there. Someone got high impact unlock. Ooh.
Oh my god,
that sounds
next level.
Fun. Oh, scale dynamic cross-functional alignment.
If Luxon was saying that all day, he'd probably get another term. Like,
honestly,
he sounds smart to people.
That actually almost sounds too smart. And
yeah,
unfortunately I can't make it larger, but what I can do is I will pop the link in the comments, assuming it lets me. And maybe what people can do is they can tag me on Blue Sky or in Discord. Your fun little names that you got generated. And yeah, that was just a fun little game I thought we could play to finish off the night, because it's time to go. So, and I don't think we have any. Oh, we've got a couple more last few super chats. Mr. Arvids for $2. Will you be my sugar investor? Mate, I'm on supported living payment. Y'all know I can't afford that.
I'll be your sugar investor if you want. You can reach out to me.
Surely I get first dibs, not Mr.
Oh,
Arvids.
okay. Well, sorry. All right. It looks like. Don't worry.
Okay, that D's face is like a shit bat signal. And another $2. Sore but gay. And you know what?
He was talking about the Seymour face being on the moon.
Yeah.
It's like a shitty bat signal. Yeah.
Oh, yes, bat signal. All right. Okay, well I think that's us. So we're gonna hit the outro and
help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting bees from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a sub and a higher in mind. All heavily, neither this way or that, and we'll be analyzed by what Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
all right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this bright Hairy News Friday.
Thank you so much.
And thank you obviously to Rogers for joining me tonight while Ems is out a wedding, so she'll be back with me next Friday, and obviously Papa Pat and Uncle Chewy will be back with you on Monday. So make sure that you meet us there. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go, Rogers?
Just kia kaha, and yeah, thanks everyone. Spread the
Yeah.
news.
And yes, obviously, like Aaron said tonight, let's make people aware of what's going on. Let's try to tackle these young people who are homeless, because I think that's what we need to think about this weekend. So thank you all for joining me, and as always, keep cool till after school. Ka kite, everyone.
Ka kite.
Bye.
Ka kite anō.